As you know, we always think, what's the best Maimah that we can learn in honor of Shavuot? Because Shavuot is in another
9 days.
9 days, maybe even less. Sunday night. Now it's Wednesday night, so it's a week and 2 days.
That's 9 days.
But guess what? We forgot one thing. The whole Shir Hashirim was written by Shlomo HaMelech. For what reason? The marriage of Hashem and the Jewish people. When was that? When Hashem gave us the Torah. So if you really want to prepare for the giving of the Torah, you learn Shir Hashirim. So today, the pasuk today is chapter 1. It's a new mimer. Very interesting mimer, and it's pasuk 10. What does it say? This is people that say Shir Hashirim every Friday night. They know this pasuk. Naaowo לחייך בתורים, which means לחייך means your cheeks is beautiful with torim. They used to put like these gold, like it was made in the Torah is like a row, Torah echad, Torah sheni, like a line. So they used to put a line of golden, things on your.
You write with the tape, not with tough.
No, with a tough.
Line?
Tough. No, that's what a tough. So l'chayayich batorim, your cheeks are beautiful with the rows of gold you put on your cheeks. There's like it's a kind of No, but it's jewelry.
Yeah, but it's like a makeup.
And then tzavarayich is your neck. But charuzim is like a necklace. Beads that you sew like you sew. So what does that got to do with Matan Torah? What does it got to do with the Jewish people? Why is Shlomo Melech telling us that our cheeks is beautiful with rows of ornaments and the throats with necklaces? Mm-hmm. So he says, "V'amar Razal l'chayayich him shnei luchos." When it says your cheeks, l'chayayich is double, not lechi. Yeah. Lechi would be 1. L'chayayich is 2. Why 2 cheeks? The 2 luchot. Luchot is lecha yayich. Oh, really? And what's batorim? Batorim is the beautiful ornaments. Hem shnei torot. Hashem gave us 2 torot, Torah shebechsav and Torah shebapeh. See, you hear that? So l'chayayich is luchot. Torim is Torah. Torim comes from the word Torah, but it says Torim barabim, lashon rabim. Because Hashem gave us 2 Torahs, Torah shebechsav and Torah shebapeh. So he asked, Ulahavin, Mahu batorim, vavle lemema batorot. It should have said, Naaowo l'chayayich batorot. Your cheeks are beautiful with the 2 Torah that Hashem gave us, the Torah shebechsav and Torah shebapeh, but in the Shir Hashirim it says batorim. So why does he call Torah torim instead of torot? When you want to say 2 Torot, you say torot. You don't say so you don't say.
Why is it masculine instead of feminine?
Yeah,
exactly.
That's that.
So why change the tough to men?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So look what he says. He's going to explain what are these Torim literally. Mm-hmm. He says, Him tachshitim hanasim ke'in rosh tor shehu tavnis mishulash. You could have jewelry that's, let's say, round. You could have jewelry that's square. And you could have jewelry that's triangle. Torim is triangle.
Okay.
Interesting. Did you know that? Torim is triangle? Huh? But look what he says. The custom was that people put on their cheeks 2, one here, and it was a triangle kind of design, the jewelry. What does it mean in the Torah? Why triangle? If you remember, we learned last week. If you remember about the fire, water, and air. You remember that? Eish, Mayim, Ruach. You were there last week, no? Eish, Mayim, Ruach. So he says, You want to know why they did a triangle? Because the Torah is divided in three. What's the three? Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. Torah is learning Torah, Avodah is to daven, and Gemilas Chasadim is to do tzedakah and mitzvot. Shehem Bchinas Eish, Mayim Ruach. We learned last week, Emor, Omer is Eish, Mayim Ruach. Eish Mamata Lamayla, if the nature of fire is to go upwards, and that is tefillah. The idea of davening is to connect us to Hashem. And then you have Mayim. What's Mayim? Hu Chesed, U'Tzedakah, Lahach Yisruach Shalom, Lamayla Mata. What's water? Water always goes down. Comes from on top, it goes down. So when you do mitzvot and you give tzedakah to someone else, you're coming from on top and you're going down. And then there's the middle one. What's the middle between tefillah and tzedakah? Torah, which is the ruach v'abchinas hamemutza hi haTorah. So you got it. So that basically, the Jewish people is three: tefillah, Torah, and mitzvot, which is tzedakah, which is eish mayim ruach, and that's why it's triangle. But he goes a little more than that. V'hine b'chinas eish mayim ruach hi b'chinas segol. If you look in the nekudot that we have, Chamatz, Patach, Tzerei, Segol. Segol is two dots, and the bottom is the bottom dot. It's a triangle.
Okay.
But the way the triangle is, the two dots is on top, and the bottom dot is, and the third is on the bottom.
Yeah. Okay.
In the middle bottom. That means two, and then it's on the bottom.
We have water come from down, fire, and Torah. So it's supposed to be like actually a line, no?
We're going to get to it in a moment. That's a good question. Now, one more thing. Are you familiar, in the Torah, there's also called Segelta. Segolta. You familiar with that or no?
No.
Segol is the regular nekudot that's under the words, and it pronounced eh. Segol is an S sound.
Uh-huh.
But then, when you have the ta'amei haTorah, the chanting, are you familiar with the so there's one of the it's ta'amim, it's called munach zarka segol. So you have a chumash here or no? You don't have a chumash here, no?
I don't know.
In the library over that room, just bring a chumash. I want you to see. It also is a segol, but it's upside down. Over there, the nekuda is on top, and the two is on the under. Interesting thing. We're going to get to it. So you have segol, which the two dots on top, and the third is on the bottom. Then you have segolta, which the two dots is on the bottom, and the top dot is on top.
And what's the sound difference for the one?
That's just to tell us the note. Like you play piano, you have notes. The notes. Like I'm going to show you. Here, let me show you, so you can show everyone. I just want you to see how the segol works here. Right here.
Maybe it's the first page. You have the.
No, right here.
It's always in the.
Hey, look. V'haya kiyechta v'ashem. Do you see a segol on top? Show them how.
תעביר את זה.
See? On top of the Hashem.
You see the segol? But you see how it's upside down? It's that's called segolta. It's the notes.
Yeah, for singing.
Yeah, you understand? It's called segolta. Okay, so now since everything is three, Torah is three, Eish Mayim Ruach three, so then you see? You see on top? That's not how to pronounce the words, that's how to sing the words.
Yeah. Like
Munach Zarka, Munach Segol, Munach Revi. It shows you how to sing.
Uh-huh.
But the segol here is upside down. Over here, the segol has the top dot on top and the two on the bottom. So how come the segol that's under the letter, under the word, you have the two dots, and then the bottom is the third. The segel that's on top of the word, you have two dots, and the third dot is on top of the two.
Correct.
Why does it change? Why does it go upside down? So let's learn inside. First, let's understand why is segol called segol. Why is the nekuda of two dots and a third dot called segol? Segol comes from the word segula.
Am segula.
Am segula, like a cherished nation, segula. And he says, "Kamoyedach mashal sheyesh inyanim merapim b'derech refuah v'teva, v'yesh shemerapim b'derech segula." Shall be derech hateva in derech liyas refuah de zeila of makomak miyeshesh zgul derech hachoyko nefla ma she'inim meseges v'sag v'skol sarif mativ and liyas de refuah saloi. Sometimes you go to a doctor and they give you a refuah that naturally, if you take this medicine, it's going to cure this and this illness. But then there is a refuah that we call it a zgula. What do you mean a zgula? We don't understand why if you do this, it cures the illness. But it's a zgula that if you do this, it's going to cure you.
Correct.
It's above, it's like not something I could explain in scientific. It's not something I can explain literally, but it works.
Above nature.
It works. You know what I'm trying, like people do sometimes like...
Reiki. No, there's do
Lift the mezuzot, check the mezuzot.
or kamea.
Kamea, yeah, that's a good example. Or they used to have in the times of the Rambam and Talmud, they had it's called Even, a stone, Tekuma. Means it was to make you healthy. So pregnant women always used to wear the stone. Now, what is the stone going to do with the pregnancy? But it was something that they couldn't explain, but it had an effect that it cured and the baby was healthy. Okay. So in the sense, gula means when it's something that's having an effect, but it's above understanding. Mm-hmm. Makes sense? Yeah?
If I may, one more word that can come out from סגולה, the verb סגול זה מהסתגלות. הסתגלות או הסתגלת זה to adjust to something. That's also the verb.
Okay. וכן הדרך משל, what are Jews called? עם סגולסוי. שאיסנו בוך Hashem. Hashem chose us. Why did he choose us? לא כסדר דרך השלש מיל אלו. It's not like it makes sense why he would choose the Jewish people. It doesn't make sense. The Jews are stubborn. Jews always argue. The Jews
Stiff-necked people.
No, but I'm saying they're not happy. Whatever you say, they say the opposite.
That's why he put the סגול הפוך. He knew that if he puts it like this, they're going to do the right thing.
Okay. Ela Yisrael Ola Machshava. What does mean Machshava? L'mayla Meseder Shtalshlus. It's above understanding why Hashem chose us. So when you say we're Am Zgula means we're a nation that was chosen by God, that doesn't make sense. It's not like, oh, you guys are such nice people, let me choose you. No, it's above. It's called Olub Machshava. It's above comprehension. God chose us and finished. And therefore, Shema Shenimsach L'mayla Meseder Shtalshlus Nika B'Shem Zgula. Anything that comes from above nature is called Zgula. V'chein P'chinas Eishmaim Ruach Hanimshach L'mayla Meseder Shtalshlus. So the same thing, the segol that's on top of the word. Remember I said the segol that comes from above. Now what's the difference? The gam heim b'chinas nekuda segol. Ke'ina segol. What is segol? Shenekuda hem tzois. The middle dot. Hu tachas shneik. Right? That's the one under the word. You know the nekudot Why? Why is it like that? You asked why is the dot under the two?
Yeah, exactly.
So look what he says. The first thing you got to do is daven.
Okay.
The davening, that's the bottom dot.
It's coming from
the lowest level.
Yeah.
When you get up in the morning, you got to get up and put your whole neshama and come from the bottom of your heart and go up to Hashem. That's what tefillah is, eish. That's the bottom dot. Then after you daven, what are you supposed to do? Now we got to come back down, which is to do tzedakah, which is the mayim, you remember? Milmayla l'mata. And that's the dot that's on top of, on the right, the right top. Then the third dot, which is the second top dot, because you have the bottom, which is tefillah, the right top, which is tzedakah and mitzvot, and the left top is the Torah, which is called mimutzaat. What's mimutzaat? I know shuliyas l'mata l'shav shalas cholek mata machan shifta yizbarach. Torah, what Torah does is like this. Davening takes you from here and pulls you up. Tzedakah is from above and comes down. The Torah is in the middle. It takes both the up and down and makes it one. You get it? Mm-hmm. And therefore, v'hainu al yedei esek haTorah ki alei medvar halacha. When you learn Torah, hurak shenim shechachat tanaim aroin k'Rebbe Lezer oime b'shama yemrim v'gam lefamim leime b'mesechta shein tzarich klal l'maisa. When you learn Torah, do you always learn only things that you have to know? No, you're learning Torah, anything that it's in Talmud, right? You learn Talmud, we're learning about all kinds of things in Talmud, not necessarily because I have to know. This is the Talmud told us. So when I read the words of Talmud, whose words am I reading? Whose words in the Torah? Is it my words? No, it's Hashem's words. Shedvar Hashem hi halacha, hi hamedaberes b'ficha. The word of Hashem is talking in your mouth. V'tzarich is piv kli u'machin li'is b'chinas bitul of Hashem. You have to make your mouth a vessel to be nullified to Hashem. V'zeu b'chinas segol. That's a segol. What shnei nekuda shavos? V'ashlishi mimutzaas tachtehem. Do I make sense now? But so basically we have the tefillah, we have the tzedakah, and we have the Torah. So he says now that Torah is the bottom one, because Torah is the mumutzaas. Okay.
It's foundation.
It's like the middle that connects the fire and the...
on the bottom.
But we'll soon see. We'll soon see about how... Okay, now we're going to get to one more thing. Usually when you have three dots, each dot is on its own. 1, 2, 3. There's no connection here. Yeah. So let's get to that soon. This is how we do it. We have three dots. We have tefillah, Torah, and tzedakah. When we do those three dots, you know what happens? We awaken Hashem to do the same thing, but on a higher level. Also, shalosh b'chinas nekudos. Over there, we awaken Hashem to do three things, but that's called segolta. Shanakuda emtzai silamayla. Oimedes gabeshe. It's above it. Shemimata lamayla. When you go from bottom up, avodas adam hine akuda emtzai is the middle one is achrena, is the last. Shemitchila tzarich levein bata lamayla. When you come from above down, the nekuda is the first. So basically like this. When you're working bottom up, it sounds from here that the bottom is tefillah. I'll tell you what. When you work from bottom up, you have to start from the bottom. And you have to light the fire, and you have to go upwards. So the nekuda is on the bottom. Then you learn, give tzedakah, that's another nekuda. Then you learn Torah, it's another nekuda. That makes it. But when you start from Hashem and come down here, it starts first on nekuda, and then it spreads into the other two, because Hashem is infinite. If you remember, we learned that in order to enjoy Hashem, there has to be shchorani v'nava. You have to condense and conceal Hashem to make it beautiful. So when Hashem comes, he first makes a dot, and then the other two dots emerge from that. It means he first condenses himself, and then he merges into chesed and gavura, and so on and so forth. Now we understand about the dots. But it says here, V'hin eksiv in Shir Hashirim, Toirei Zav, Nasalach im Nekudes HaKesef. I'm going to make you rolls of a rose. Torah is roll, like a row, shura. You see it?
R-O-W.
Hmm?
R-O-W. Row.
Row or shura is, he says, I'm going to make you rows of gold with silver dots. What does that mean? Look what he says. B'chirish sheb'chines segel b'chines nekudus hu b'chines kesef b'chines ava shel krirus al b'chines umaylas hazav al kesef shehu b'chirish ve'eish nasa nekudus el b'chines toirim meshulash and hamshach kavim lenekudus ha'elu. Interesting. If I want to take 3 dots and I want to make them one, how do I make 3 dots one? Through 3 lines. 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
You get it? So the lines, the 3 lines like this, like that, and like that, make all 3 dots together. Otherwise, the dots are separate. Torah is separate, Tefillah is separate, and Tzedakah is separate.
The connection.
But if I want to connect Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah, I need to make the lines. What are that? That's called, he calls the golden love. There's 2 kinds of love to Hashem. One is called the silver love, and then it's called the golden love. What's the difference? Silver love is more like a father and a child, or a mother and a child. You know, it's natural. It's not like, this is the nature. You love your children. It's not like, but then there's the love of, it's called the fiery love, which is like a husband to a wife or a wife to a husband. So they're not naturally one, but then they became one, and they created this strong passion. That's called the burning fiery love. That's the golden love. So when you love Hashem, which we call the silver love, means it's a natural love. Every Jew loves Hashem. You know, every Jew, the famous expression, the Baal Shem Tov says, a Jew not he wants and not he could disconnect from Hashem. You're Jewish, you're naturally connected to Hashem. There was one Jew, he wasn't Shomer Torah mitzvahs, he was like Apikoris. So the Rebbe wrote him a letter, and this is in 1951, and the Rebbe writes to him, his title to the guy, Ish Yirei Elokim. And then he addresses, so the Rebbe says, you must be wondering why I would put a title on you, you're a God-fearing person, if you're Apikoros. You know, how does it work? Are you a God-fearing person or not? So the Rebbe says, you know why I wrote it? Because my father-in-law, which is the previous Rebbe, said that every Jew, not he could and not he wants to disconnect from Hashem. So you must be a God-fearing that's inside of you, but you don't know about it yet. And the fact that you wrote me a letter means that it's starting to wake up. So I could call you Yirei Elokim because you are inside you, you are a Yirei Elokim. But it's still hidden. It's not yet revealed. When you reveal it, then it's like a strong love. So what does he say? A very strange thing. The whole idea of making these golden rows is to connect the nekudot hakesev, is connect the dots. Why? When you have dots, they're like separate entities. Which is anfin mispardim. Anfin means branches that are separated. Avo beslavos. Beslatus ava, when you have a very burning love, so you understand what the chut, what does a chut do? The chut is like the kav, it's like the line that connects all the 3 dots together. So if you have a burning love to Hashem, you're going to connect Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah together. There is 2 levels in a segol. There's the segol that's under the word, which is mamata lamaila, and then there's segolta mamaila lamata. Came b'chines toirim. The same thing with the Torim, which is rows. He pays Torim mimata lamaila. There is the Torah from a bottom up or malamata, which is bottom up. and which is top down. Torah shebachsav is what?
Torah shebachsav is down.
Down, from top down, because Hashem gave it to us. And what's Torah shebal peh? We, the Chachamim, develop it and develop it and develop it and develop it and develop it. So it's from us. So you have like this. You have the Torah that comes from above, which is Torah shebachsav. You have the Torah that comes from the bottom, which is Torah shebal peh. So what's our job? V'zehu navi l'chayich b'torim. What's l'chayich? Lechia elyin, the top in the cheek. There's two parts of the cheek here. V'lechia tachton here. See here the top and here. Okay. What's the difference? What is your cheeks? What happens from your cheeks? The words come out from your mouth, or the words come out, which is moitzi hevel adibur ki havla sol karela, which is malas hazav alakes, malas ha'avav nasa v'nimshach chinas turim chinas hakodes. By doing a love out of fiery love, you create the lines for the dots. And now what happens when you have lines on the dots? Nasa kavim behiskalulos hanakodes ubezu. When you have lines on the dots, what happens? Then all the nekudot become one. It becomes one thing. Got it? So the whole idea is that we should take Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah, make it into one. How? By having a fiery love to Hashem, which is the gold. And the idea of the gold is the lines that take the three dots and they make it into one. Eish Mayim Ruach. But it's, what does it say in the rest of the pasuk? Tzavorech bacharuzim. What is tzavorech bacharuzim? A necklace in the beads. So he says, Hubchines avadim tayves umargolios mufradim ukfuyin u'tchon b'chut shachut nichnas bahem umechabram shelo yispardu. That's a necklace. What's a necklace? You make a hole in the stones, and then you put a string through it, and then it holds it together. So he says, you know what that is? V'chein derech mashal hakol kol Yaakov, Yud Akev, b'chines chut hamavriach v'rakatzel hakav. That's what Yaakov did. What did Yaakov do? Yaakov is Torah. Torah is like a string that comes from Hashem. Hashem gave us the Torah. Comes all the way down, and it pierces through everything in the world, and it makes all the world one with Hashem.
So including Esav. So that's why he was holding his
hand. He wanted it out.
From Esav?
Yeah. Guess what?
To the Kala,
Yeah, exactly. The Jewish people, yeah. But look what it says by Yaakov. Vayikach me'avnei hamakoim vayosam. When he went to sleep, it says he took from the stones of the place and he put it as a pillow. But you know what happened with all the stones? It became one. Why? Ki hu yizbarach mekayim shalaylam baruch hamakim malakam v'avana ibchines oisios v'Yaakov. What does Yaakov do with the stones? Mevian u'mal oisam. He brings them out of Shaisav and he makes it into one. He takes all the stones, which is separate, and connects it and makes it all one with Hashem. The necklace is made me'avanim tevis, right? You said it's made from pearls or what, I don't know, however. V'chalulim, they have holes. Kain tzarech us, every Jew has to make a hole in them. What is that? V'libi chalal bekirbi. A person has to feel humble and he has to feel kli rekan. He has to feel like he's empty. And then Hashem can bring the string into you. Hamshachas oir nesei baruchu she'ein oir nesei baruchu sherem esgala. The infinite light of Hashem can be revealed. Ela b'mi shebatal ela b'metzilas legame. Hashem's light could only be revealed to someone that's totally nullified to Hashem. Ayin shalei tivas makom klal le'eshadava. Uchadei liyas bitul zeh. In order to feel that you're nothing, chadei b'chinas kol Yaakov. That's what Yaakov did. Shakol moira kavana. V'akavana ine machshava levada kim liyas mechuvan v'chach miras Yisrael. Turn the page. Al Shem Shetzarech L'Chaven Libai. The idea is that you have to connect your heart to Ein Sof. V'chines Bittul Sheyeh Mechuven Keneget Sheyeh Nitvas B'Moichev Libai Kein Meil Movadai. So basically, the idea is to take a string, pierce it through the stones, and make all the stones connected as one. Who does that? Yaakov. Yaakov took all the stones and made it into one. The same thing, every single Jew. If we use the voice of Yaakov, we could take everything and make it one with Hashem. What is the voice of Yaakov? The voice of Yaakov is called Rachmanut and humbleness. You feel that you're nothing, and you through that you daven and you do mitzvot, and by that you're piercing through your emptiness, and now you're becoming one with Hashem. Make sense? So now he says, "V'zeu in sheichavnas libam." It says in the Mishnah in Brachot that when you daven, you should have kavanah ki adam hamachaven lizik chitzim makom yidua. When you want to shoot an arrow, and you want to get to the center of the circle, what is it called? The target. So you matara, right? So you have to be mechaven to shoot exactly, and then you get 100 points, the whole thing. So he says the same thing with us. We have to have kavanah when we daven and do mitzvot, lotzet min narteka, to go out of our, nartek is like our body, uleshtapech achei kaviyah, and to pour out our heart to Hashem, b'chinas bitul metzias, as if we're nothing, uleskala b'mkoyrim b'kor chayim, and to become part of Hashem, oy nesev mamash shirim izgal b'nafshei. Hashem should be on me. Ki ein or nesev shirim izgala, ela b'mi shabat aleilav. Hashem could only dwell in something that's nullified to Hashem. And that's why we take the stones and we make holes in them. Hanekavim v'chalulim shevavanim tevais, kedei sheyichnas behem achut hamechabram. So how do you, in order to take a string and to be able to put it into the stones, you have to make a hole in the stone. So in order for Hashem's infinite light to go into you, you have to put a hole in you. What is the hole in you? To feel that you're nothing. That's called bitul v'anava. So when I feel that I'm nothing, then that makes the hole and the empty vessel that the Or Nesef could come in and tie everything together. So you getting it or no? So Avanim is our words. Avanim is everything in the world. Our job is to make holes in them. And by making a hole in them, then Hashem brings this infinite light that penetrates through the holes, and it makes it all become one with Hashem. What does a hole mean? I feel humble. I feel
for the ones who want to be humble, the chut goes inside.
Right. If not, it doesn't go.
So
if a person doesn't, then the chut, then you have 3 nekudot. It's not connected. If you want to be that the string should connect everything, you have to make a hole in you, halal. And by making a halal, now the light of Hashem could penetrate through you and take everything you have, your words, your action, your tefillah, and your Torah, and tzedakah, and make it one with Hashem.
when with the others. Wow.
Everything around you also. Not only, but the whole key is that a person has to feel. There's a famous expression: Hashem could not dwell in a kli malay. It means you have to, in order to fill this with water, you have to have it empty. If it's already full, I can't put anything in it. So if a person feels he's full of himself,
God can't.
there's no room for God. But if you feel empty, now Hashem can come into you, and that's the or, the light, the string that goes into you and ties everything in you, makes it one with Hashem.
Mm-hmm.
You get the concept? There's an interesting story. I forgot which tzaddik, I believe Yitzhak Badichev. He once came to a city, and there were 2 Jews that invited him to be the host in their house. Like he'll be there. Both great Jews, everything. One Jew was like a tzaddik, The other one was not such a tzaddik, He was a little, but he was a good Jew. So they asked Rav Levi, where do you want to spend? He says, in the Jew that's not such a tzaddik. I don't want to go in that tzaddik's house. He says, why? It says, Hashoichen itam betoch tum atam. Hashem dwells in every Jew, even if they're tameh.
Yeah.
But someone that's a Bal Gaiva, someone that has Gaiva, Ein Ani, V'hu Yachol, I can't be together with a Bal Gaiva. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Baditchev says, you know what? I want to be in a place where Hashem is. But I can't be in a place where Hashem is not. This tzaddik feels he's a tzaddik.
Sure.
So Hashem can't be there. I don't want to be a place where Hashem cannot be. I want to be what Hashem could be.
Now they see more of Jerusalem.
Okay. V'zeh ma shekosav hakol kol Yaakov.
66.
66 on bottom. Kol harisha, when you look at the words kol kol Yaakov, you see the words?
Yeah.
The first kol is missing a vav, and the second kol has a vav. They're both spelled the same. I mean, pronounced the same.
Kol.
What's the difference? Kol harishain, the first voice of Yaakov, that's tefillah. Why is that tefillah? Because it's memata lamaila, it comes from you. Ka'arye yishak, like a lion that's screaming. The problem is, your voice is not so powerful. Your voice is human. Yeah, you're screaming to Hashem, but how strong could your voice is? But by you doing the tefillah, you being ma'orer Hashem to now bring His voice, which is kol ha'elyon, milmayla lamata, which is the Torah, so that has a vav. In other words, the first kol that has no vav means it's like a weaker sound. When you have a kol with a vav, it's a stronger sound. What's the weakest sound? When we davening, it's the weaker, because that's us. That's our voice screaming to Hashem. And we're limited. Then Hashem brings His voice, which means He's mamshich the or in sof. Kol Hashem, that's with a vav, because that's full strength. That's a strength that comes down. Clear? And the Zohar says, interesting, ad lo ishtaka vira dachi v'lo noher, anavonin nikivin havesasomin shetzorach liyas hamshacha b'tchil m'chines avira dachia shalidei zeh yiyavonin nikivim. And then kol hamshacha l'mata. First, you have to be humble. When you're humble, what happens? You make holes in the stone. Once you make a hole in the stone, now the light of Hashem could penetrate through, and you can have beautiful necklaces hanging from your throat. Kol habeis the Yaakov hamolav b'chines b'riach hatichen shemavriach min hakotza lakotza v'b'riach b'chines chut hanichnas v'seichel hamrichadim. That is the string of Hashem that connects everything together. And that's what it says, Ani Hashem lo shanisi, Ani Rishon, V'ani Achen, and that goes on the Torah, because Torah is Pnimius Rechachmasai Yisbarach. Clear? So what do we have till now? What are the cheeks with the rose on it? So that's the two luchot, the two Torahs, the Torah Shebachsav, Torah Shebapeh. You have the triangle because you have segol, which is ish, mayim, ruach, which is tefillah, Torah, tzedakah, and Torah, and you have two of them, right? Milmaila, and then you have the segol that comes from on top, which the top nekuda, that's from Hashem, but you need to be ma'oreh first your kol, and by you bringing ma'oreh the kol, then you bring down the kol from Hashem. In order to have Hashem connect all the dots together, you have to become humble, and you have to make a hole, just like when you take stones and you want to put them all together, you have to make a hole in it. Once you make a hole in it, then you can put the string in it to tie it and make it one. So once you become humble, Hashem could put the Ein Sof into you and make everything one. And that's what Yaakov did. Vayikach me'avnei hamakom, and Yaakov has kol Yaakov, the two voices, the tefillah and the Torah, and together you were able to connect everything and make it one. Now he ends off the mimer. We'll finish the mimer, so at least you'll have a complete. This is a nice, easier level. You see that or no? 66 on the left here.
On the left of the...
That's 66.
Yeah, on the left. All right. Up, a little up. Bold.
Okay. Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
Ani Yisha Ani Achin Melech Yisrael, that goes on Malchus Yisbarech, that goes Hashechan Veslavas Veshalshos, and they're in safe. Goyel Lo Isha Melech, who Pirish, what's the pshat that Hashem is the Goyel Shel HaMelech? Sheyigol V'yiv the Medus Malchus Yisbarech Mislapshus B'Klibes Nega. In other words, in order to make what does it mean ani rishon v'ani acher? What's the whole idea of malchus? Malchus is the lowest level of each world. And what's the idea? The idea of malchus is to create the lower world. So normally malchus is how it's already the light, how it's diminished, so we could make a lower world to create more limit and more concealment and more limitations. But our job is v'goyaloi. Let's get malchus out of this limitation. How do I do that? So that is by bringing in the Torah and the mitzvot. And this is now makes sense. When Yaakov took the stones, it says vayikach me'avnei hamakom, which represents Torah and mitzvos, but it says vayishkav b'makom ahu. What's the word vayishkav? Look what he says. Yishkav is two words. Yesh chav bet. You see that?
Yeah.
What is yesh chav bet? That represents the 22 letters of the Torah. So yesh chav bet means he took the stones and he slept on the stones. He brought into the stones the words of the Torah, the 22 letters of the Torah, and he connected the stones with Hashem, with Hashem's 22 novlot shel chachma. Novlot is like something when you fill a bottle and it runs over, like a novel, it spills over. So like a fountain, exactly. So the fountain of Hashem is full of chachma and it spills over, and that's what Yaakov did in this place. How? וגם ליאס האורס היעשה בחוכמה, השייסן וכסיב עשיסם עשם שישראל, a Jew, oisen למצווס, והיינו על די רוח חייסי רוח. When a Jew does mitzvos, he brings the infinite light of Hashem into this world, and והכוח הזה לישראל מבחינת כל, הישג, הכל הבייס, בעם שכוח שער אינסף, Baruch Hu Shera B'Talmud Torah Mitzvahs Ani Avai Le'Shanisi. So in other words, like this. That will stop. This ends off the Maimon. There is your voice, and by you using your voice, you're awakening Hashem's voice. Your voice is missing a vav. That is tefillah. What happens after you daven to Hashem? Hashem brings His voice, which is Torah. And by learning the Torah of Hashem, you're now connecting the Ein Sof with this world. When you connect the Ein Sof with this world, you're taking all the stones and you're making them one. But in order that the stones to become one, you need to have holes in them. So you have to be humble. When you're humble, you could now daven, bring the stones up to Hashem, and Hashem brings the infinite light, which is the Torah, in it, and makes it all one. But you have to have the humbleness. It's an interesting thing because it says...
Humbleness take the place of the tzedakah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. You know why? There's a famous halacha in Torah that if you have a piece of kosher chicken and you cook it in a non-kosher pot, the chicken is kosher, but the pot is not kosher. Could you eat the chicken?
No.
You can't. Even though the chicken is kosher, but since you're cooking it in a non-kosher pot, the chicken becomes not kosher because the taste that's in the pot. Okay. So he says an interesting thing. You take kosher Torah, Torah from Hashem, and you put it in a non-kosher pot, which is you, the Torah becomes not kosher. What does it mean not kosher? When you're not humble. So then when you're not humble, the light of Hashem doesn't go in. It's like a full glass. You can't fit anything in. When you're full of yourself. When you're full of yourself and you don't let God in, so your pot is not kosher, so the Torah you learn has no strength. So you need to have kol, the davening. So that's the fire. That's the nekuda under the nekuda of the segol. Then you do mitzvot and you bring Torah, and with Hashem responding, then the infinite light of Hashem comes in and makes a whole pierces through the holes of your stone, and then makes it all into one, and it becomes echad, and now you can use it as a necklace around your neck because everything became one. So Shlomo Melech is saying, Naaovo לחייך בתורים סברייך בחרוזים. Your cheeks are beautiful with the three, which is Torah, Tefillah, and Mitzvot. And now by davening the right way, you're now taking the world and the stones, you make holes in them and they become one, and you can hang it as a beautiful necklace to Hashem. Makes sense? It's unbelievable. Now you can look at a beautiful girl.
So it's all about being humble.
Everything, yeah.
Without this, you can't get anything.
According to halacha, a king, a Jewish king, has to have two Torahs. A regular person, one Torah. A king has to have two. One he has to have at home, a Sefer Torah, and the second is wherever he goes, he has to carry the Torah with him. So the Rambam says, why? Why does a king need two Torahs? Every Jew, just one Torah is enough. Okay, because since he's in such a high position, how do you get him to be humble?
To remind him of
So this Torah is with him wherever he goes, so he knows he's humble and has a hole in him. Then Hashem could leave nishbar v'nitka Elokim lo sivze. A broken heart, Hashem never mevazeh. It doesn't look at it. It's special. But a person that's full of themselves, the Hashem Shechina doesn't dwell in it. It's interesting. You see all the politicians in the world; they're very humble. It's like the humbleness is so strong that Hashem can't even be there. That's how powerful the humbleness is. It's just a funny. It's hard because when you're in such a position, it's hard to be humble. It says there's another interesting halacha in Torah. When you do Shemona Esrei, there's 4 times we bow. Baruch atah Hashem, Baruch atah. The beginning, the first, second, and then the last 2. Modim and there. But a king, you won't believe this. A king, at every bracha, in other words, he bows down by the first bracha, and he has to stay like that throughout the whole Shemona Esrei.
Wow.
So the Rambam says, why? Because he has to be humble.
Yeah.
So we keep him down. Do you think it helps? No. Okay. Anyways, l'chaim.
L'chaim.